we have essay writing. And this is a very short and sweet summary of the methods that I recommend using for essays. Now, what are the keys to a really great essay? The first thing is to remember that it's being read by a person, and people actually enjoy reading. I know I do. So that's one thing to bear in mind. Don't think of us as markers. Think of us as people who appreciate your work. And the next thing, one of the things that we enjoy more than anything else about an essay is the fact that it is something entirely new. Please do your best to always produce something without copying from anybody else. Next, we love it when the essay is coherent. In other words, it has this beautiful flow, sentence to sentence and paragraph to paragraph. That is the most important aspect of the grammar that you're going to be using, or the language, is to make sure that your essay is coherent and that it flows. And again, seeing that it is going to be read by a person, please make sure that it is a pleasure to read. Don't give us nasty descriptions of, let's put it bluntly, no descriptions of rape or anything like that, please. We've read far too many of them. That is not a pleasure to read. Now, we have various types of essays. The most common one is the narrative, and that is nothing more than telling a story. It should be noted that the narrative is normally written in the first person. There you can see it, I, we, me, us. And of course, the past tense, because it happened in the past. And if you're wondering, the second person is you, and you. And the third person is he, her, him, them, they, it. All of those are third person. Good. Now you have the descriptive essay. It describes all sorts of various things, obviously, but you must ensure that a descriptive essay has lots of descriptive words in it, and there are your words that are descriptive. It's adjectives, it's adverbs, and of course, figures of speech. And we all know figures of speech such as go the extra mile and that sort of thing. But if you can create your own figures of speech, which specifically relate to items and experiences from your own life, how much better is that? Now, the other thing about writing descriptive stuff, make sure that you use all of your 5 human senses. And these are sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. And if you can include something from each of those, it will really make your essay so much better. Reflective essays, and that's very simple. You're just looking back at a reflective essay. I regard as a before and after sort of essay. You look back and say, gee, that's what I was like before this, and this is what I'm like now, and this is what I've learned from it. Right? It's as easy as that. Then we go on to argumentative essays. These ones are your own thoughts on a topic, right? You are obviously presenting the one side of an argument. I've put that on the board. And there's that lovely word subjective, which means that this is what you believe. You are not worried about what other people think of you. You are giving your opinion, and that's that. And of course, you are trying to do your best to get people to agree with you. So think of it as being a politician, and you want votes. You want the people to agree with your policies, so you have to persuade them. Discursive essay has many argumentative elements in it as well, but here you are presenting both sides, a balanced argument. There I've actually put the word balanced, and it is, of course, objective. You have normally in a discursive essay, you have no opinion one way or another. You are trying to be neutral. You're sitting in the middle. And a good example of a discursive essay is, of course, the advantages and disadvantages of. And then you can fill in whatever you want there. I mean, the one example that I've used is dam building, but you can use also the advantages and disadvantages of mining. It's a very good discursive topic, either one of those. Now let's go on to introductions and conclusions. People, these things are absolutely critical. The introduction is the reader's first impression of your work, and of course the conclusion is the last impression of your work, and both of them must be excellent. When you are doing, and I've put here the narrative, descriptive, and reflective essays, these are not the same as the academic type essays, which is, of course, the argumentative and the discursive. So these ones, I describe the best introductions and conclusions as short and punchy. Here is an example. You can read it for yourself. I'm not going to read it to you, but I'm going to ask you, what do you immediately think when you read that sentence? And I can tell you, you've already got a picture of where it's taking place and who is the central character, etc., etc. Now we go on to the conclusion of the same essay. And again, I'm not going to read it to you. Read it for yourself. It's short, simple, and very descriptive. So that is the type of introduction and conclusion that we look for in these narrative type essays. We go on to then, of course, argumentative and discursive essays. Now, for these ones, both introduction and conclusion are short, clear paragraphs. And here is an example. This one is slightly longer, so this one I am going to read to you. Dams are an essential part of South Africa's infrastructure today, since they provide both water and electricity to millions of people. However, does this justify the damage done to the environment? There's your introduction. Now the conclusion. It is true that dam building causes both environmental damage and the displacement of people. The huge contribution that they make to the economy, though, far outweighs their disadvantages. See that? A paragraph, short, sweet, and simple, and sums up, in each case, sums up the discussion that has gone before. Now, just before we stop, I want to talk briefly about essay planning. Planning is critical. An unplanned essay normally goes horribly wrong. I've seen this over and over again. And here is the perfect way to judge your planning. Read what I've written there and think about it for yourself. Can you hand it to me and ask me to write the essay for you? That's what good planning involves. Then remember also that your planning should not contain questions. Questions do not provide answers, right? It must be precise, detailed, no questions. And finally, remember also that planning is not marked. We only mark essays. We're not interested in your planning. The planning is for you, not for us. So don't worry if you filled your planning with mistakes. It doesn't matter as long as it results in a beautiful essay. And that is what we have to say for now. Aside from, here is an example of planning which is not a mind map. If you like mind maps, fine. But I find this sort of planning is far more effective. This is actual genuine planning from an actual genuine essay that was written. And I find it more productive than mind maps if you do it according to paragraphs. You'll see their introduction, paragraph 2, paragraph 3. And then you go on to paragraph 4, paragraph 5, and conclusion. It's a massively effective way to plan. The method is fantastic. You want to use a mind map, go ahead. I mean, if you're used to it, there's no problem with that. But I still say that this is the recommended method of planning in this instance. And finally, there is this lovely, simple little quiz that I've compiled for you. Please go ahead and enjoy it. Thank you for your time.